How to exploit a bad bishop in the endgame. Have you ever wondered how to turn the tables when your opponent has a bad bishop in the endgame? Understanding this can be a game changer. A bad bishop is one that is restricted by its own pawns, especially when those pawns are on squares of the same color as the bishop. This limitation makes the bishop less active and unable to influence the game effectively. To exploit a bad bishop, the first step is to identify if your opponent's bishop is indeed bad. Look for pawns on the same color as the bishop. If those pawns are blocked or unable to move, the bishop's effectiveness is greatly diminished. The more pawns on the bishop's color, the worse the bishop becomes. Once you spot a bad bishop, your next move is to restrict your opponent's options. Activate your king and any remaining pieces to control important squares. If you have a good bishop, meaning your pawns are on the opposite color, use it to attack weak pawns or support your own pawn advances. A good bishop can dominate a bad bishop, as it has more space and targets to work with. In these endgames, the concept of Zugzwang often comes into play. Zugzwang is a situation where any move your opponent makes will worsen their position. Aim to create positions that force your opponent to move their bishop or pawns, leading to weaknesses you can take advantage of. Here are some practical steps to exploit a bad bishop. First, restrict the bishop. Use your pawns and king to block its activity. Keep the bishop tied down to defending weak pawns or squares. Second, activate your king. Bring your king into the center or towards weak pawns. An active king can often be more powerful than a bad bishop in the endgame. Third, create passed pawns on the opposite color of the bad bishop. Since the bishop cannot stop them, this can lead to significant advantages. Fourth, consider exchanging pieces. If you can, exchange off other pieces to leave your opponent with only their bad bishop. This increases the impact of its weakness. Lastly, use Zugzwang to your advantage. Force your opponent to make a move that weakens their position, such as moving a pawn and allowing your king to penetrate into their territory. In pawnless endgames or knight versus bishop scenarios, the idea of a bad bishop is less common, but the principles still apply. In knight versus bishop endgames, the side with the bishop usually has the advantage unless that bishop is bad. If the bishop is bad, the knight can often hold the position or even win by attacking weak pawns or squares the bishop cannot defend. To summarize, identify the bad bishop, restrict its activity, activate your own pieces, create weaknesses, and use Zugzwang to force mistakes. These methods will help you exploit a bad bishop and improve your chances of winning the endgame.